It is 9 o'clock. This is my very first time going live ever. So bear with me. Like this is, a little nerve-wracking, but I'm super excited because you're just in time for story time. My name is Justin Stephen Ford. I will be your host and your MC this morning and later today. And I am author of the new diverse children's picture book, I See Me, there in the background. Get your copy today. And founder of Ford Publishing House. And I'm so excited because we are on an extraordinary mission to share captivating and diverse stories that not only inspire, but also entertain. And what my goal here is really to create a hub and a resource tool. So I'm looking at my notes because I don't want to forget. So whether you're a writer, a publisher, an educator, or a parent who really just has a zeal for children's literacy, you're looking for a new book for your child, this is the perfect place. As we're going to have inspiration, tips, connections, all from the people who are really making it happen and those change makers. And with that being said, welcome to Just in Time for Story Time. I got through it. Welcome to everyone. Drop in the comments where you're from. If you have questions, definitely drop it in the comments also. But let's get started. So our first guest is Ty Allen Jackson. So I'm going to bring him up right now, and then I'm going to here. Let's see. Boop, boop. Accept that. I think he's coming in. There he is. My man.
Look at this dude. Out the box. First time at bat. Home run, first time up.
Listen.
Look at you.
I see Texas in the house.
I see Texas in the house. All
Where
right,
are you
that's what's up.
located, man?
I'm in Fresno, California.
Fresno. Oh, so you're not far from here. Perfect.
Yeah.
Good morning. Yeah. How are you?
That's a trick question because I am exceptional every day. I don't even know how to have a bad day. I don't know what that means.
We love
So when someone asks me how's my day, I'm having a great day every day.
Good. Well, I'm having a better day just to see you, man.
That's very cool.
But you didn't know this. I'm gonna do a little introduction. I got my JustinTIME for time cards here. I'm gonna do a little intro, so hang tight, guys. So Ty is a 3-time TEDx presenter, award-winning children's book author, literacy advocate, motivational speaker, and honorary doctorate recipient. Look at that. In 2011, he founded Big Head Books, LLC, a literary organization that aims to introduce children to the joys of reading. Ty's books have been featured, get this, on CNN, NBC Nightly News, The Steve Harvey Show, PBS, and Just in Time for Storytime now. And in 2012, Ty's books were gifted to former First Lady Michelle Obama by his hometown mayor. He is the co-founder of Reader Else Movement and the Danny Dollar Academy. Welcome to Just in Time for Storytime, my guy, Ty Allen Jackson.
Wow. That guy sounds amazing. I want to know more. I wish somebody would interview him. I need to know more.
Welcome to the show, man. So I have to tell everyone that first, thank you to Ty, because when I started first writing my children's book, I reached out to Ty because he was doing the thing and asked for questions and asked for tips, and he took phone calls and he talked to me. And so because of you, this is really one of my ways to pay it forward, because there's not a lot of resources, especially for people that look like you and I. And this is just a really great resource to have people who want to write books, who want to learn how to write books, who want to find a new book, who want to network. And so that's what we're doing here. So thank you to you personally.
Well, that's very, very kind. I'm honored to do this work. I'm also honored to support others doing this work. I always vowed that when I got started, I vowed that when I made it, for whatever that means, that I would be supportive of anybody on this path. It's not an easy path.
No.
It couldn't be more gratifying if you really, really are willing to put forth the effort to make it whatever it is that you need to be. So happy to do it.
Awesome. So Ty, tell us a little bit about yourself, where you hail from, all of that good stuff.
You got it. Born and raised in the Bronx. Go Yankees. Bronx strong, without question. I lived in the Bronx for the first 35 years of my life. I got married, moved to Western Massachusetts for 20 years. I had three amazing children who are my best friends. They're just the most incredible human beings I know. And then lived in Massachusetts for 20 years, and that's where I became an author. And then once I, as my friend Todd from the Bronx says, "What's up?" And then after living in Massachusetts for 20 years, I met my girlfriend, my now girlfriend, on TikTok on February of last year. And I flew down to meet her a year later, a month later, sorry. 1 month later, I flew down to meet her, fell in love, and 9 months later, I packed up my U-Haul and drove cross country, and now I live in Fresno, California.
Wow.
Yeah, it's been by far the best decision that I've ever made. On a professional tip, I'm a children's book author, I'm a speaker, a TEDx presenter. Most important, I like to tout myself as a literacy advocate. I think that when your why is stronger than your what, it really helps emphasize, everything it is that you do. So from the Read or Else t-shirts, from the books and the advocacy, it all is, they're all branches on this tree, which that tree is empowering our young people. That's the tree where all the branches of everything it is that I do comes from. So when I do speak to other aspiring authors, of course you want to get your book out there first. Like that, you need the book for the credibility aspect of it. But once you have the book and the book is solid, it's time to start building a narrative around the book and around your advocacy and why you wrote the book. And that's the difference for people who really get out there in the world and use their book as a tool to make the world a better place, as opposed to just saying, buy my book, buy my book, buy my book. Because selfishly, everybody's got something that they're selling. Right. But when you emphasize the why component of why you're doing it and you build a narrative around that why, it really helps emphasize who you are and what it is that you do.
So I didn't know you were coming to take us to church this morning, man. I didn't know that's where we were going. But that's a great segue. So what is your why when it comes to writing your very first book? You're out here. How does all that happen?
So, I mean, honestly, it happened originally when I was a child, because I grew up, my mother was 15 years old when she had me. We were on welfare. My father was incarcerated. I lived that prototypical, poor kid from the Bronx or the projects kind of lifestyle. And we really didn't have much, but the one thing that we had were books. My mother, despite being really young, was a ferocious reader. Books were everywhere. Books were in the bathroom. Books were in the kitchen. Books were everywhere. And in life, you kind of gravitate to what's surrounded by you. If you're surrounded by junk, you're going to gravitate to junk. I was surrounded by books. I gravitated to books. So my why is a microcosm of who I am, because books help change me and help mold me and help educate me, because I couldn't leave my area of the Bronx. We didn't have money to go to the movies or go out for dinner or go on vacation. So my trips to see the world existed within books. And that really helped mold me to see the world differently, so that when I got out into the world, it helped accentuate what I already know or already had seen, because I had seen such a rich, beautiful world from books. So my why comes from wanting children, especially children who've been disenfranchised, to have that same experience, to be able to see outside of the space in which they live. A lot of our kids come from homes that are, and environments, I should say, that aren't conducive to growth, aren't conducive to love. And so within the pages of a book, and I don't think there's any other medium or platform that can do this, it expands our world. It shows you life so vibrantly and vividly. And so, so becoming an author in part was, two reasons. One, to help children see this world greater, so that they in turn can be greater. But I'm also going to say that I didn't discover even that I had a gift to write books until I was 40 years old. Really? And so in my story of an author didn't take place, didn't ignite until I was 40 years old. Really? Okay. That's when I got the idea to write a children's book. Okay. And so once I did, and once I started writing, I realized how much I loved this. And Mark Twain once said, the two most important days of your life are the day you were born and the day you find out why.
Mm.
And the day that I became a children's book author, the day that I got this book in my hand for the first time, I
Mm.
knew why I was here. I knew what my purpose
Mm.
was. And that purpose was to inspire young people to use books as a tool to become the best versions of themselves.
We just think that.
My man got an applause system in the room. That's what's
That
up.
is beautiful, man. That is absolutely beautiful. And that's kind of what we say here just in time for story time is let's change the world together, one book at a time. And like, I don't think we think about that often, the power that books have.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of times we get so caught up. There's so many other platforms out there nowadays, but the fact that a book can change the course and the trajectory of your life blows my mind. So you have books. I see in your hand you have, is it Danny Dollar Millionaire Extraordinaire? That was your very first book.
That's my first baby.
So you turn 40 years old. You know, hey, I'm gonna write a book. Can you walk us through kind of your creative process?
Yeah, 100%. I'd like to really discuss how I even conceived the idea of Danny Dollar. And it all happened when my son, who was 8 years old at the time, asked if he could open up a lemonade stand.
Okay.
He made $50 selling lemonade, which totally blew my mind. And then he said, Dad, what am I going to do with the $50? And I said, I don't know. So I went to my local bookstore to try to find a book to teach my son about money. And when I went to the bookstore, one, I noticed there were very few books teaching kids about money. And then two, there were so few books that had a young Black protagonist in a strong contemporary fun way. Not me and segregation, not me and slavery, not me and, or Jackie Robinson or Muhammad Ali, but just like a fun, cool contemporary book for kids that featured a child of color. Absolutely. So I got the idea right there. The name Danny Dollar just popped in my head. I went home, started writing. It took me a year to write the story. I submitted it to 147 agents and publishers. Nobody wanted to touch my book. So I started my own publishing company. I named it Big Head Books. You can see why. And then 2 years after my son said, hey, Dad, can we open up a lemonade stand? This book was born. As I see my friend Darren in the room. Darren, what's up, man? I love you, man. We got to get together. But as far as creative process, to answer your question, because at 40 years old, most people are very set in their ways, and I was never academically strong. In fact, I had never been to college. I was a good student, but it just didn't translate to college. So I never. And then my other friend Alex, sorry, I'm not going to shout out anybody. Then some people
go for it. I'm glad everyone's joining.
I gotta shout out. So I didn't have this academia background to write the type of story that I really wanted to. So that year that I did write, I just studied and read ferociously. Like every children's book in the genre that I wanted to write, I read. And I got to see how other authors told their story. And also, because I never considered myself a writer, I consider myself a storyteller. And I think there's a dramatic difference. I am so empowered by story. Any story, especially from movies. So, and it doesn't matter whether it's a rom-com or an action movie or a chick flick or action, doesn't matter. I love a good story. And so I pay attention on how directors tell a story and weave a story throughout, this film. And if you read any of my books, they read very much like a movie would go. They're very visual, especially like my superhero stories. I made a point of really capturing how directors tell their story in Spider-Man, Batman. And I just kind of mimic that same type of flow and that same type of style. And that creativity from seeing the way other storytellers tell their story helped me learn how to tell mine. And I think anybody that reads my books feels like that they're watching a movie in their mind when they read it.
We are so much alike, man. So much alike. I'm the same way. I went to community college. I didn't have a, writing degree from Harvard or anything like that, but I love entertainment. I love music. So mine relates to music. I'm a singer-songwriter, and my books you can sing them almost, especially my upcoming book. So I 100% get it.
Love it.
Yeah. So you have Danny Dollar. We have the Super Duper Kid. You are amazing. I am amazing. And then I Close My Eyes, which is kind of one of my favorites because it's so beautifully illustrated. What other projects are you working on? Do you have a favorite book?
Yeah, you don't want to say you have a favorite book, no different than you want to say you have a favorite child. But I
But we
do.
have one.
I have 6 books, and I feel like all of my books were written with some agenda in mind. Danny Dollar, I wanted to teach kids about financial literacy.
Yes.
When I Close My Eyes, I wanted to teach kids about imagination. You Are Amazing, I wanted to teach my kids self-esteem.
Yes.
But the Super Duper Kid, I wrote for me. I wrote that because I'm in love with comic books. I'm in love with the mythology of comic books. And so I wrote the Super Duper Kid for me. And I think you can see that jovial freedom expressed in the pages of this book. You could see that this book was written for fun. Now, the other books are written for fun too. I don't want to dismiss, but I had an agenda in mind when I was writing. It was something I wanted to do for kids with this book. But Super Duper Kid, I wrote for me. And, and it makes my heart so happy, especially when other kids read it and they feel that same joy and energy. And out of all of my books, and I've sold over almost 250,000
Let them know.
books.
Say that again.
I've sold almost 250,000 copies of my books independently.
Independently, guys.
Independently.
Which is no feat to laugh at. Right.
No, but that is a level of commitment, and another question or another story on how do you get to that point from being an author, an aspiring author with no clue on what he's doing. None. Just no background in literature, no background in publishing, no background in this world. And then how do you get to the point of selling 250,000 books?
Yeah.
What does that take? And that's a whole nother question if you choose to ask it. But yeah, the Super Duper Kid is not only the book that I love the most. Every kid that reads all of my books say it's their favorite book too, and that lets me know the level of authenticity you have to have as an artist really matters.
Absolutely.
Kids can take your work and read it and tell where you slapped and where you didn't. You can read it, you can see a movie and see the actor just brought it in. They were just collecting a paycheck on this one.
Absolutely.
Or like Denzel, you can see the movies where he was just I'm just trying to get a couple bucks here. And then you can see the movie where he's training day. Where he's glory. He just brought it. Everything.
King Kong ain't got nothing on me.
100%. And then you have, some stuff that was all right, Denzel, I see you. You needed that paycheck. Books are the same way. You can see where people put their soul into it. And then you can see where people was just I just want to get a book for the world. I don't care if it does well or not.
Absolutely.
Anyway.
Absolutely. Very well said. In doing this, and I've always said my book also took a year to come out. So from inception to getting it out in public. And that's because I've always said I want to put the best out for our children and for people that look like us. I feel like we deserve the best. We've gone so long without the best. And so when it comes to, books, advice I can give is take your time. There's no rush. Take your time, hone that craft, and really put out the best thing that you can, which is great. You spoke a little bit earlier about, being self-published. Can you speak to how you overcame some of those obstacles? Because there's a lot.
Yeah, there's an abundance of obstacles. And I can argue there's only obstacles.
Yes.
With that being said, obstacles are how we learn. Obstacles how we get strong. We don't learn when things are easy. We learn when things are difficult. Mm-hmm. So and thank you. A number of compliments from soul determination is showing a lot of love. I just wanted to say thank you and that I appreciate you. One of the most discouraging things that I first discovered when I became an indie author is that bookstores, big and small, want nothing to do with you. They don't care. I've gone to the little mom and pop bookstores, and I've gone to the big Barnes and Nobles and Target and Walmart, and none of them care about your project. As much as you think it's God's gift, to the rest of the world, it isn't. And so I discovered really quickly, how am I going to get my books out when bookstores don't want me, department stores don't want me, the primary places where a kid would go and get a book don't want me. So how am I supposed to, and my objective, I'm not doing anything for the sake of doing it. I'm doing it to be great. I want to be the best children's book author ever.
Right.
And so I asked myself a question that changed the direction of how I was going to market and get my books out to the world. I simply said, well, ultimately, who do I want my books into the hands of? Mm-hmm. Do I want my books into the hands of bookstore owners and store managers and clerks? No. Mm-hmm. Ultimately, I want my books into the hands of children. Mm-hmm. That's ultimately where I want my books to be. Mm-hmm. Okay. Where are children? Are children in Barnes and Nobles? Are they in Walmart? Are they in Target? Are they? No. Children are in schools. Children are in daycare centers. They're at the YMCA. They're at the Boys and Girls Club. So why deal with the bookstores when I can just go directly to with children? Mm. So I would go to the YMCA, and I would go to my local YMCA. I would go to their website, and I would see what's their mission. What are they trying to accomplish? And let's say hypothetically that the mission of the YMCA is to empower young people to be the best versions of themselves. Mm-hmm. Let's just say that's their mantra. I would contact the people who are on the ground and doing the work, the community liaison at the YMCA, mm-hmm. and say, my name is Tyler Jackson. Can I take you out for a cup of tea? Mm-hmm. Can I come by? And I would say, I have this amazing book that can assist you in helping children become the best versions of mm-hmm. themselves. And this is how it would work. And so I always go in with the agenda of the institution that I'm working with. This isn't about buying a book for me. This is about buying a tool for you. This is about how you can use this tool as a way to empower the young people and accomplish your goals, not mine. And when you become an advocate for the institution that you're working for, you're no longer a person soliciting. You're now a partner with these institutions to be able to work with them to push their agenda forward by using your work and your advocacy. That is how I've been.
Like, I really want to, I wish I could just be watching because I want to be able to take notes. I'm like hitting the heart button myself because that is invaluable, or such valuable advice, man. Because as a self-published author, you know, myself trying to get your book out there, I think we think big, right? We think Barnes and Nobles, we think Walmart, we think Target. And sometimes that's just not practical. Sure, there's one-offs where that absolutely does happen. Like, it can. But for the majority, I know I've walked in plenty of places and they're like, oh, you're another independent. And everyone thinks that our books are our babies because they are. We spend so much time with them. But that was such good advice. Thank you for, and you know you dropped the mic. So thank you for dropping the mic. Thank you, Mike Gamage. So we don't have much more time with you, but I do have a couple more questions. Yeah, what's one piece of advice you would give to aspiring authors? One piece of advice.
But I got a bazillion pieces of advice. But if your objective is to get your book out into the world, you have to figure out how to engage with the world. Yeah. The world doesn't care. I'm just letting you know now. Yeah. The passion that you have for your book, the world does not have it. It's your goal to make them passionate about it. And you do that by using it, again, as a tool for them, not for you. And I think that one of the biggest mistakes that people make is not realizing that the most important product of them selling their book is them. Like, they're the vessel in which this, in like, you are the advocate for this book. Like things don't sell themselves. They have salespeople to sell them. And the better the salesperson you are, the more likely you're going to be successful selling your product. You are the salesperson of your product. And there is no greater platform to sell your products than on social media. That's how you found me. That's how most people find me. That's how people will find you. And if you're just my book, and you're not emphasizing your why, you're not emphasizing you, you're not emphasizing, you know, the components on why it is that you did this and how you get back to us and like what information, like this information is honestly information that I usually give for solicitation, for consultations. But like, my job is to help people become the best versions of themselves. It doesn't matter if it's a kid or an adult. So like, I want to give you this information so that you can in turn do better. And when I support you in your endeavors, you support me in mine. It's, you know, so I say to all aspiring authors, get from behind the book and get in front of it and learn that you have to be the biggest advocate. You have to showcase your joys. You have to showcase your whys. You have to showcase you. And like, that's the secret sauce, in my opinion, to being a successful indie author. because you don't have a publisher, you don't have an agent, you don't have a manager, you're all of those things. So you've got to be in the front doing all those things, doing them as well as you can, and you'll make some mistakes and it'll be awkward and weird at first. But like everything else, you get a little bit better, you get a little bit stronger. This is a marathon, not a sprint.
Yes.
You're not going to sell 1 million copies of your books in a year. You might not sell them in 10 years. I've been doing this and hustling for almost 15 years, and I've sold 250,000 books, which is a tremendous amount of books. But I didn't do that the first year.
Yeah.
I didn't do it the second year.
Yeah.
You know, I had to figure this system out. So I say to everyone, make yourself your advocate for promoting your work and showcase your joy about your work and your why as much as you can.
Someone just said you are infectious. Man, like I'm so encouraged and motivated at 9:26 in the morning. It hasn't been like this in a long time. And you said something profound. You said get from behind the book.
Get from behind writing the book and get in front of advocating for the book.
Yeah. Woo, that was good. What is one piece of advice you would give to children?
You know what? I think like everything in life, and I'm going to talk to the children through the adults, because the adults and the parents are the primary educators of the children. And so I'm going to say for the adults to the children, speak up to them. I know we have this idealistic sense that we have to talk down to them and speak their language and talk in words that they can understand. No, it's our job to challenge our kids and lift them up. It's a lot easier to teach a 5-year-old how to play piano than a 25-year-old how to play piano. So we have to do better jobs as our primary educators of our children to speak up to them, talk to them about financial literacy, talk to them about such situations that are uncomfortable, because they will meet you up on your level as opposed to us coming down to them and them not growing because we're speaking their language. We need to have them elevate so they can come up and speak ours.
Absolutely.
And I think that is the secret sauce to raising kids that are forward and critical thinking.
Absolutely.
So that, and the best way that you can do that, the best way that you can propose is to just love them. It's to just spend time with them. If I said no to my son when he said, "Hey Dad, can I open up a lemonade stand because I'm watching TV, I'm watching the game," then first of all, I'm not an author today, like period. Like if I said no, that doesn't happen. So just that one yes, literally changed the course of my life and the course of 250,000 other lives who have my book.
Absolutely.
So yeah, like we have to do a better job of speaking up to our kids.
And just love them, like you said, love on them, be there, support. It's simple.
It's
simple.
Really simple. The answers to the most complicated questions are really the simplest. You know, and if we look back at our own childhood, especially from those who maybe didn't get the love that they deserve, if you ask them, what's the one thing that you wish to change in your life, I guarantee you that they would, in some variation, say, I wish that I was seen more. I wish I was heard more. I wish I was loved more. And I think that's the secret sauce to having a child who's successful as well as being a successful parent.
Absolutely. Ty, thank you so much, man, for joining me today. Before I let you go, what's next for you? What do you have coming up? What's next, and where can people find you?
Okay, brace yourself. So one of my books that Danny Dollar has also spun off into my first published book from my actual publishing company is titled Make Your Own Money, Teach Kids How to Earn It, Save It, Spend It, and Dream Big. From this book, I created the Danny Dollar Entrepreneur Fair. It's exactly like a science fair, except in kids demonstrating on how a volcano works, they're demonstrating their ideas for a business. I piloted it last year and inaugurally did it this year with over 450 students in Western Massachusetts, all out there showcasing their ideas for a business, build that narrative around this book. And my objective is to take that worldwide. I'm working with the public system of Fresno right now to hopefully get it into that system. But I expect the Danny Dollar Entrepreneur Fair to be a household name in 5 years. To watch it.
Man. I'm inspired, I'm encouraged, I'm motivated. That's what JustinTIME for StoryTime is here for. Ty Allen Jackson, thank you so much, man. I got to give you some sound effects here. Hold on. There it is. Thank you so much for coming, man. We're so glad to have you, and we're gonna have to have you back for part 2 for sure.
Yeah, man. Listen, I'm here when you need, man. Thank you for the platform, and thank you for what you're doing. Congratulations on getting your book out there. You know, it's one thing to say what you're going to do; it's another thing to do what you say you're going to do. So, congratulations on that. I know it's no easy task.
Thank you. I appreciate that, man. Thanks. Have a great rest of your day.
You do the same.
Take care.
All right, be well. Cheers.
Thank you. Thank you. So that is what you can experience at Just in Time for Storytime. Listen, guys, this is my first time streaming live, and I wasn't expecting, like, I am so encouraged. I am so motivated. And that's Jax, Storytime with Jax. You missed it, but we will be back at 2 o'clock Mountain Standard Time, 5 o'clock EST for a whole nother guest with another amazing story, with more inspiration, more creativity. Again, Just in Time for Storytime is really a platform where it's a resource. So like I said, whether you are a writer, an author, with a publishing house, a literary agent, a parent who wants to find a good book, or just simple networking, it's all here today. So that's my time for this morning. This is Just in Time for Storytime. Thank you to everyone, math tutor Tiff, Soul Determination. You have shown a lot of love. Storytime with Jax. I appreciate it. So we'll be back here 2 o'clock Mountain Standard Time, 5 o'clock EST, and I'll see you later. You are just in time for Storytime.